I'm so humbled by this opportunity. I like Jason said, I worked in a parish. I moved after college at Texas A&M. I moved right north of here, like 5 miles, and I had gone through a conversion and was just passionate. I was a couple years, had a job in corporate, and I was like, I need to serve in my local parish. So I went and offered to volunteer for, I don't know, confirmation, whatever they did. I mean, I didn't know anything about anything. And Monsignor Killian Broderick offered me, he's like, we're actually looking to hire somebody. You look like just the kind of guy we're looking to hire. So 25 years later, 26 years now that I've been working in parish ministry. And as Father Edwin, wave over there. Father Edwin is my pastor. Where's Father Edwin? Oh, he was just right here. And he's friend and fellow missionary. And the one thing I hate about Father Edwin, though, he has this incredible memory. And he remembers some of the things, when I didn't know what I was doing when I was like 26 years old, and I'm supposed to lead a Bible study, and I hadn't even been to a Bible study. And he was just the other day telling me this super embarrassing thing I said when I was dating my wife, who kind of came to this Bible study. His memory makes me insane. But I love St. Anne. I don't work there anymore, but I'm still in the parish. I love St. Anne. But I really love the potential of all Catholic parishes. There's a famous saying, I think it's one of the Protestant world, that says, the local church is the hope of the world. Now, of course, as Catholics, we understand the local church as the diocese, but still that sentiment of the local community, what we call the parish, networked all around the world, just untapped potential. What if parishes really came alive for this apostolic age? And I definitely know firsthand, I mean, I love parishes. They're beautiful, but they are messy. And leading change, the changing of a culture from old models to this missionary posture is not for the faint of heart. It is, I think, one of the most challenging leadership challenges, but opportunities of any organization. It's an incredible challenge, but it's a beautiful one. And because sometimes the gap between our aspirational visions of what a parish can be and our theological constructs and reality on the ground is a great chasm. And many of the best leaders I know, they accept that is great, and they accept that leadership is a team sport. And they don't try to go it alone. And the good news is you don't have to go it alone. There are so many key opportunities, apostolates, who are there to partner with you as you journey and try to close that gap and bring a new vision to your parish. And while I'm not a priest and don't know the full burden of being a pastor, I did work at this large parish, worked really closely with our pastor. And I know from experience that partnering with the right ministry at the right time can be a game changer. When I was 26 and didn't know what youth ministry looked like, I learned about Life Teen. I went to a conference. Let's go. I connected with them, got resources. We went from a parish where all the Catholic kids went to the Protestant churches to a parish where the Catholic kids were inviting their friends. And we've had many seminarians and many priests come from our parish. When we wanted to change the culture of our parish from where it was really stagnating to adopt a culture of evangelization and discipleship, we read the book Divine Renovation, went to the conference, and we connected and got support. Whenever we wanted to create a way to invite people to come to the parish to explore faith, we ended up partnering with Alpha and got training and resources in that way. And even more recently, St. Anne's has been partnering with Evangelical Catholic for, how do we move these disciples to become disciple makers, people that are equipped for apostolate, and the kind of people that can lead our growing small groups ministry. So once again, Jason wanted me to share just a little bit about the landscape. It's very daunting because there's many that I'll miss. There's so much in this space. But I want to fly over a few that I think are specially ordered towards the shifting of the culture of a parish for this apostolic era. And I put it in two categories, kind of comprehensive apostolates that are have a comprehensive approach, and those that are more targeted. Comprehensive meaning they're focused on the whole culture of a parish, especially supporting priests in their leadership. Focus on topics like leadership, building great teams, developing a clear vision and strategy. Parish culture is a powerful thing. Cultures are powerful. And how do you navigate the shifting of culture? That's what these ministries focus on. Whereas targeted, the ones I'm going to feature are ones that are especially targeting towards equipping for mission. And so they offer training and resources to support a parish to be fruitful in that given area. And so in the comprehensive, some of the ones you might be familiar with, and I'll even share a little bit in their own words, but I just had a great lunch with Matt and Mark back in the back, and hopefully many of you guys have been able to visit with them. Amazing parish. They offer practical mission-focused leadership coaching for Catholic parishes, known for their connection to Patrick Lencioni and his great work on building great teams. Catholic Leadership Institute. I've also enjoyed connecting with Sam and Mike and Kyle. Some of those that have been around here. They have a revitalization process for parishes using data and analysis of ministry to provide Catholic leaders with focus and courage to engage the culture with an apostolic mindset. And many people know them for their work with the Disciple Maker Index tool. There's also Rebuilt, which helps parishes to create, really focusing on the weekend experience strategy. Divine Renovation is obviously in this category. And I'm not here to sell Divine Renovation. Hopefully we can represent all these ministries well. We offer training and leadership coaching to help Catholic churches move, kind of like the subtitle of our founding book, from maintenance to mission. And we started with a parish in Canada. It's a network of parishes around the world. And I think bring a real grounded experience on the ground for what it takes to change the culture of a parish. There's also OSV Institute. Many of you guys participated in their workshop. They help foster cultures of creativity for strategic planning and doing. Parish Catalyst. They guide parish leadership teams to form vision and map out strategies. My friend John Pointevit is here. He's with Parish Catalyst back in the back, and they do great work as well. There's also Acts 29, amazing. I don't know that you technically put them in this category because they're doing a lot of work with like dioceses. It's a little bit not individual parishes, but you have to acknowledge them and the amazing work they're doing. And they're also, you might be familiar with the Rescue Project. Once again, these are the comprehensive that it might already seem like a lot. And I'll try to give a few final thoughts of what to do with all of this. Quick flyover here though. Targeted, Evangelical Catholic. I love everything. I mean, these guys are amazing, but I love the focus of what they're all about. I've heard them say time again, we are about the tactics of helping form disciples as disciple makers, equipping disciples for apostolate, and that's amazing. Alpha in Christ life. We heard the fishing analogy earlier from Peter. We often, Jesus tells us to go fishing, and Evangelical Catholic helps really become excellent as a fisherman. I would say Alpha and Christ life are almost like communal fishing tools. How do we fish as a community? How do we create a culture of invitation for people? Something we can invite people to. My wife's a Catholic therapist. She says, I am so thankful for Alpha. I have so many people lonely, and to be able to direct them to a place like that is a game changer. Focus, Parish Outreach, and CCO. Amazing work, and they've branched from their great success making disciples in Catholic campuses to now bring that multiplication model to parishes. And then there's other ministries that we just see a lot in this apostolic space. Life Teen, of course. Witness to Love, an amazing accompaniment model for marriage preparation. And then there's also Pathways Formation Suites, another one we see a lot. Family-centered formation for children. So what do you do with all of this? I think today on the Feast of the Conversion of St. Paul, it's kind of like a question of discernment, like who do you want to be your Ananias? Hopefully you've had a conversion to more for your priesthood, to embrace this apostolic vision for your leadership and your priests, but it's like, who can be a guide alongside you? It's a real discernment process. There's no silver bullets. I don't think anybody on the list would say they're a silver bullet. They're offering different principles and strategies to help you integrate into your unique context. I would encourage you to, look at some of these that we've mentioned. Go to their websites. Watch webinars. It's like charisms. Each one has there's a lot of similarities. We, like Amazing Parish guys and we're doing a lot of similar work, but also some little differences in our emphasis. I would, watch webinars and just become familiar. We had a webinar last night at Father Hamilton here from Vancouver. It was about leading renewal in a small parish when you don't have a staff. And that was a really, there's a lot of our different ministries have webinars such as that. Reach out. They would love to hear from you and be more than responsive. I think one idea would be possibly to look at one in the comprehensive category, because once again, parish culture is super powerful. And how do you lead into that culture shift? And then another one would be one under the targeted apostolates that you could get going, get some early apostolic momentum. One bit of advice I've often heard shared to priests on the missional journey is most priests overestimate what can happen in 1 year, but underestimate what can happen in 3. I think it just speaks to the patience needed to change the culture of a parish. Slow and steady wins the race. And I just want to end with this a few words, kind of adding on what Peter said, which was amazing. I used to drive by my parish, St. Anne's. It's a mega parish. And I would drive by or go to the church every night, and I would see the parking lot full, and I would well up with pride that our church was so full every night of the week. But I began to shift and think, I don't know, is that a good thing? That all these people see that if they're going to grow spiritually, being engaged in their faith, they have to come to the parish. Like, yes, we come for sacraments, but I almost started thinking maybe we need to have empty parking lots a lot of the nights. We need people more out than we need everyone. So that tendency to turn inward is such a temptation. Even Father James, that expression maintenance to mission, he has to remind people it's not maintenance is bad, mission good. Maintenance is maintaining the flock of God, which is a gospel mandate. But we also have to wrestle with this tension that we hear in the Great Commission. And we all know all the quotes since Vatican II, Pope Paul VI, the church exists to evangelize. Evangelization is our deepest identity, right? We know that those are held up as like we are called to do more. But I love this quote attributed to St. John Paul II in that document to the Congregation of the Clergy in 2020. And he says, evangelization is the cornerstone of all pastoral action, the demands of which are primary, preeminent, and preferential. And we really try to hold that up to have parishes wrestle with what does it look like to prioritize evangelization. Because there's a lot of parishes I see trying to step up and do more, be healthier, do better ministry, but they're still fundamentally just focused on their own flock. I mean, I feel like we've been talking about the new evangelization for 40 years, ever since I listened to Scott Hahn's tapes in the 90s evangelizing the baptized. We've been talking about new evangelization. We've had retreat programs, all these evangelization events to evangelize those in the pews. And at a certain point, we have to start to fix our horizons, our eyes beyond the parish out into the culture. And, sometimes in the parish, we don't see it because we're in growing areas and it doesn't look that bad. Or maybe if we're working really hard, people might shuffle around parishes. So we're not growing in mission where people are moving parishes. But we see in the parishes we work with in the UK and Canada that without a shift to mission, our congregations are getting older and smaller, ultimately. And, I know priests that are my age, early 50s, who share the story of growing up in the 80s and the churches were full, and now they are pastoring a parish of 4. They're being consolidated into one. I think of one priest, Father Michael Leclerc in Montreal, who was visiting a parish on Easter Vigil that had some adult baptisms, and he thought, oh man, I haven't done an adult baptism in a while. He called back his secretary and found out they hadn't had an adult baptism since 1976. And he was like, no more. We're evangelizing. We're going to be about mission. The good news is in 5 years or so, that's changed. They have adult baptisms. And now he's partnering with a brother priest in a dying church nearby. And he just sent out 36 missionaries to be church planters, if you will, to help seed renewal in his neighboring parish. So as we think about this tension, I just want to close with this quote from a missiologist and author, Alan Hirsch, that I think speaks to this tension between maintaining the flock and setting our horizons outside the walls of the church. And he says, if evangelizing and discipling the nations lie at the heart of the church's purpose in the world, if we accept that, then mission and not ministry is the true organizing principle of the church. And he explains, in a narrow sense, mission is the church's orientation to outsiders, and ministry is the orientation to insiders. Experience tells us that a church that aims at ministry, we're going to focus on our flock, forming our flock, that they will eventually go out. The church that aims at ministry seldom gets to mission, even if it sincerely intends to do so. Parishes are always so busy, you never get there. The church that aims at mission will have to do ministry because ministry is the means to do mission. Our services, our ministries, all the life of the parish need a greater cause to keep them alive and give them their broader meaning. By planting the flag of mission outside the walls and boundaries of the church, so to speak, the church discovers itself by rallying to it. This is why the missional conversation is so important to the renewal of the church. That's why this conference is so important, and so thankful for the Evangelical guys. And on this Feast of St. Paul, let's pray for our own continued conversion to this apostolic mindset. And also, I hope that you can find some Ananiases. There's some around this room. I'm here and love to meet you. There's help, and look forward to supporting you. God bless.